Welcome back to our podcast. This is the Newsfeed NRV podcast. I'm Emily.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm John.
Today we're going to be talking about student engagement in local government. All of us have been working on different political beats throughout our time at the Newsfeed, and we just want to touch on the importance of it. I definitely think there's a story behind the student engagement we've seen recently and why it's important to get engaged in local government while you're in college.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the very close races that we've seen like a couple weeks ago. The 41st House of Delegates district, which of course was very close in 2023, decided by a margin of 183 votes. Obenshain, the Republican incumbent, defeated Lily Franklin, but Franklin in 2025 was able to sort of tap into the student vote, and especially based on what I've seen, that has sort of spread down the ballot, especially with the mayoral race, which was also very close, even closer. On election night, Pete Macedo was up by 46 votes. There was a very distinct sort of split between at least on-campus voters and off-campus voters, and that on-campus voters appeared to favor Sutphin. And the sort of 2,000 or so provisional votes that were outstanding as of election day primarily came from on-campus, or at least student-heavy precincts. And I think that was just enough to put Sutphin over the edge. I think officially now he is said to have won by 18 votes.
Which is such a small margin.
Yeah.
And even I think what I've heard is Macedo's called for a recount or is working into that process. So
around 14% of the votes in that mayoral race came from on-campus precincts, and that's up from 4% in 2021. And I think that's the highest that proportion's ever been. I think that in 2017, it was at around 10%. So this is like a really significant development.
So what was the process like of reaching out to these voters on campus?
I mean, there were a lot of organizations that were active on campus doing lots of tabling. Like maybe you guys might have seen people outside of Newman Library, by the GLC, by Owens, by Squires. And it's basically reaching out to students and showing up where they are. I think the Young Democrats and other sort of left-leaning organizations like Next Gen America and others were very much leaning into that. And I think that's why you've seen such a strong Democratic presence reflected in results from these precincts on campus.
I feel like also the reaction to the current administration was a huge factor in these elections.
Right. And when I talked to Chaz Nuttycombe about, how the elections turned out, that was one of the major reasons. I asked him, hey, why is everybody turning out and, engaging in politics right now? He's like, because of the Trump administration, they're upset with certain policies that they want to see. So I spoke with Chaz Nuttycombe from State Navigate about, how we're seeing a bigger turnout in student voters and the results seen at different colleges And one of the statistics was that Virginia Tech was the highest college with turnout. It was at like 141%. So not only did they reach the 2024 presidential election, not only did they reach the same numbers, but they reached way beyond that and way beyond any other college in Virginia.
If you don't vote, you can't complain, right? And at the end of the day, I mean, when you talk about what groups are just not, now again, there was very, very high student turnout relative to 2024. But still, I think that if you want to actually have a seat at the table, you have to speak up, right? This doesn't just go for young people, this goes for any group. So if young people want to be heard on issues like lowering the cost of college tuition, making sure that there is a job market for them, making sure that maybe they can buy a house one day, right? Not the median home buying age is now like what, in your early 40s, right? And this is much different compared to even like 10 years ago, or let alone something in the 20th century, right? Everybody likes to talk about like, oh, the boomers got to buy something when they were like in their early 20s, but like even like 10 years ago, the median home buying age was at least 10 years younger, let's say. So if you want to see at the table, you have to actually speak up and say, hey, this is what my group needs, this is what I need, this is what my family needs. So that is one thing I would say. And in some cases, like in Virginia Tech, they might be in a competitive district, and they're going to make a disproportionate amount of the voters in that seat, right? Virginia Tech has the highest, or House District 41, which is where all of Virginia Tech is, all of Blacksburg is, has the highest number of 18 to 24-year-olds as a percentage of the population than any district in the House of Delegates, right? So it's imperative that any group really come out and vote. I think voter participation and high voter turnout is a great thing, no matter which party it benefits, because at the end of the day, for a functioning democracy, the more people that think their voice is heard, the better.
One of the things that I liked that Chaz said was that if you don't vote, you can't complain. I think it's very popular with college towns and college students to complain about different things happening, with whether it's tuition, the speed limit. Literally, everybody was complaining about the speed limit changes in Blacksburg, but they didn't know about the speed limit initiative going on. So if you don't know what's going on in the government, if you aren't actively engaged, and you don't vote, then you don't, like he said, you don't have a seat at the table and you can't complain about it. You have to be involved and vote in order to be a good democratic citizen.
And I don't know if we had time to include it, but he also mentioned the power of social media in politics, and how specifically on college campuses with younger voters, social media plays a huge part in how people are informed.
Even Lily Franklin, who won her House seat, posted not even a smear campaign, but just saying that she took out the trash, referencing Chris Obenshane. It was the most neutral smear ad I've ever seen, but it got people excited. It got people talking about it, and maybe it impacted the votes that we saw.
Mm-hmm. There's huge smear campaigns from both sides, especially with the Jay Jones controversy that happened.
There was definitely something that, especially in an election cycle where we were expecting very close races, that was something that, people talk about, an October surprise, something that happens that changes the character of a race. That was definitely something that changed the character of this race. Up until that point, the main knock on Jones as a candidate, and this was going back to the primaries, was that he had never prosecuted a criminal case, didn't have enough experience as in a sort of prosecutorial role. And from that point on, especially with the backdrop of the assassination of Charlie Kirk and sort of a nationwide reflection on political violence, Republicans were smart to sort of use that to say that Jay Jones is unfit to run. I think Miares, one of his ads, said that if he is saying this about Todd Gilbert's kids, would you trust him to protect your family?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I think it just circulated everybody's online feed for for a month. It was a continuous conversation, so that clearly has to have an impact on how people perceive him and who they want to vote for.
Yeah, but then again, especially when we're talking about like students and students who are fed up with the Trump administration, I'm not sure how much that resonated. Miares' messaging. I'm not sure how well that resonated with sort of younger voters, especially in light of Miares' endorsement from Trump.
Right. And I think it's also, at least in my opinion, when you look at the names, they aren't as they don't stand out to me as much as Lily Franklin did, Admiral Spanberger, those races, because their names I hear more and not, not something I'm as involved with if it's Attorney General.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more podcasts from us. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.